What's up? STS here. Simple review time. It's been a while. I know it's been a while. I don't know if people have been watching this or not, but the last review I did was the Spectacular Now that I posted on the playlist. But really, the Spectacular Now was the very first simple review I'd done ever. That was a year ago, and I started simple reviews early this year in May. And I'm back. I usually got burnt out. I've been in a very depression of the duties, but really, just had no time. I've been watching TV shows and whatnot. But we're back. Today's simple review is 3 o'clock in the morning. I have Surge, the citrus flavored soda. We are going to talk about a movie that I saw this in the theater. And now, looking at the VHS, I mean, it was okay. I mean, looking at VHS, looking at it from the theater, like the previews to the DVD format or whatever not, I mean, this film was okay, but let's see what we're talking about. And it is Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland, which is Disney Presents. This is from Disney's. It is a Disney Presents. I mean, it's produced by Disney, because that's Tomorrowland. I mean, come on, Tomorrowland, the Rockets, Space Mountain, Buzz Lightyear's rescue space thingy, the old school Walt Disney World Alien Encounter. I mean, this is basically just taking the format of Tomorrowland, and I checked it out, and I'm like, you know what? Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. I mean, it's been a while since I did a review for Simple Review, and this movie was It was a 130-minute movie, 2 hours and 9 minutes, or 2 hours. Well, that's for the whole movie with credits. So I think 2 hours and 5 minutes, or 3. I don't remember what it was. And it all starts with a little kind of like a prologue in a way with Frank Weller, who was plays by George Clooney, and he's with what he's talking about. You know, I used to be like this when I was a little kid. You know, I went through this one futuristic world back when I was a kid in the '60s, the World Fair. I met this girl named Athena, and I went into a small world, and I got this little pin. It sends me, and I got this futuristic world known as Tomorrow World, or Tomorrowland. I mean, and the mysterious Athena is played by Raffey Cassidy, and then later on in the future. But then when he's talking about this, there's a little chick like in the background, and then it goes. Well, basically, her voice, and that's Casey. We don't know about right now, but then it goes about George Clooney's character when he's older. But then it goes back in the day, back in the '60s, which it goes from the World's Fair back in New York City, and it goes for. Like, you know, he's showing, you know, he has a jetpack. Well, he goes into the inventors realm, like, you know, whatever the event, and Frank Weller, who's played by George Clooney, his character as a kid, goes up there, and Hugh Laurie is played by David Nix, who's the governor. Well, basically, at first he's the inventor's person, or whatever the fuck he is. He don't play a bad guy at first, but he's really plays as a prick, like a Vince McMahon kind of character in a dickheaded way. You know, he has a jetpack, you know, and it says, oh, it kind of works. And it has some cutscenes of him with a jetpack in his own farm area, and it goes to shit wire, and it has some and later on it has cutscenes with his dad. Like, his dad never really gave a two shits about his son, about his invention. Like, his invention never gave up, you know. But basically, I think I liked how it was back with George Clooney's character Frank Weller, and then he's just chilling, and then he talks to David Nix, which is aka Hugh Laurie, aka House, or aka one of the booklers from the 101 Dalmatians, I think so. But the thing is, though, he goes back, and then it goes back to, like, you know, this stuff that happened, and he meets Athena, which is this little girl, which Athena is this chick right here. That's Athena. And that's for George Clooney is George Weller. And then it goes back to a future time, or a later time in the day, with Casey, who's a science-minded teen. It says in the back here, and her dad's played by her dad's. She's a Newton, Casey Newton, and her dad's Eddie Newton with NASA, and her dad's played by Tim McGraw, which I think is on here still. Let's see, Tim McGraw is on the list. She's a super smart kid, you know. She really just has it all and just says, you know, I love everything. I mean, I know I'm a smart kid. Cheers on to that. But the thing is, I mean, it just goes on. Well, then Athena comes out of nowhere, which we reckon. Well, and that's the thing is, it went before it goes to when George talking about from the future, saying, you know, moral the hell, and Casey's like, you know, that's just your side. Where's my side? And it goes to her side of the story. Once you go on her side and whatnot, you know, she's a person. She's trying to, like, she knows stuff when she was little. You know, I want to go stars and all that stuff. And you see her going to NASA, and she tries to, like, doesn't want she don't want the stuff to explode or destroy NASA because she's a really science and method person. So she, then all of a sudden you see Athena once again in the same form. Something like, well, basically right now she's an android. At this from the 60s to now in the 2010s or whatnot, or whatever year it was, she's an android. And she gives him her pen, you know, and then she gets arrested for the NASA stuff, Casey does, and then she gets an inventory, and then there's a pin there, because the chick Athena put a pin in her helmet, and she gets a pin, and she realizes she touches it, and she's in a new world, or whatnot. And she goes for a lot, and then she keeps getting sidetracked because when she takes the pen, she's walking and hits a bump, and she falls down back in her apartment, in her parents' house, her mom's dad's house. Because here's the thing about the story: we don't know about the mother's case here. All we know about is the father's case. So we really do not know about the whole mother's case. Did the mom pass away early soon? Did the mom just divorce the father? Did the daughter get like visitation rights? Because she did have a little brother. Casey had a little brother, but she goes down and does stuff, and then she realizes. Then she hangs out. That she picks the pen, and she's in Tomorrowland. She's walking. There's a futuristic world, just like Frank Ware was back then, and it's a coolest world. You have the monorails and everything, and you have a little glimpse of the cameo appearance of Space Mountain from the outlook of Tomorrowland. I mean, that's how your looks to it, right here and whatnot, and also here. Then she realizes the time goes out, and it just goes to hell, and she's back the same. And when she tells her dad about it, she tells her to click on this, and it doesn't work and whatnot. And then it just goes to hell. And then she was online to talk about the pen, and her older brother helps her out, and she goes in this little place called Blast from the Past, which is basically one of the guys. There's a husband and wife characters, and the husband is Keegan-Michael Key, which is from Key and Peele. And they wonder where that thing is, and they're not tell her, and then Casey won't tell her, and they lock the door. These fuckers are basically the Keegan-Michael Key's character and his wife, wherever she's played by, white bitch. They are robots, and they're saying, "No, get back," or we know what the girl is, and Casey don't know what the hell's going on. She just knows that the chick. What we know is the person watching that the chick fucking put it in there, and it shall know and whatnot. And here comes Athena, comes out with her British intelligence ass, who's a robot kicking ass, who's like 12 years old, all over again from the 60s, and made up from. And basically at the very beginning, Frank Weller gets in the World's Fair and then meets Athena, and then said, "Here's a pen," and he goes into it's a small world. Before it got into the Disney World, Disneyland was a small world from the World's Fair. Goes in there and it tags its tagline, and he gets to go in the second world. And he falls in love with this chick who's just a robot that who can live on forever. But later on, like I said, Athena finds her, and then you find out that she said, with these robots, there's robots going after them and whatnot. And David Nix, who's the governor, who was her maker, I believe, or whatnot. But they go in time and back in the day, and then Athena goes back and says, you need to go to Frank Weller, to Casey, and she does, and you find Frank Weller, George Clooney's character, all grown up, George Clooney wise, and she needs help, and he's like, oh, don't get away from me. And he has, this house is full of all this technology up to hell, and he's a real smart. And Casey gets him trapped, gets him outside, and she gets in there, whatnot, and there's like a little object, a little machine he made, and it looks like from the past. He always try to make Athena laugh, and but then he got banished too. So you get a little kind of like suspense. I don't know what suspense or whatnot. Later on, the house blows up because of the fucking soldiers from David Nix or whatever from the future. This is how the futuristic soldiers were like. You are bound to be wanted dead or alive. Basically like that. It looked like we take Bob talks a lot. I mean, it's fucking retarded. David and Casey get out of the house, and he separates his own house, and then they get in a little river and pond back in the house. And then they meet up with Athena, which Frank, as an older person, with Athena, who is still the same chick from the 60s. It's very weird. Because he's really, he feels, Frank West's character feels disrespected towards Athena, they banished him and whatnot, But it was really weird because George Clooney and her have like a little fall in love story, which is kind of weird because Athena's still a child, and George Clooney's older, in his 40s or 50s. Which was kind of, me and my wife were watching, like, it's like, yeah, but then again, it was okay. But then they feel like, that Casey can fix the world. And later on, they go back to the future, to Tomorrowland. They're mixed up with Hugh Laurie's character right here. If you can see right there, Hugh Laurie's character. And, like, the world's going to end, they can take these people here that say, hey, there's a new world here. So basically, it's just, I remember the knowing with Nicolas Cage, like, people got sent in the new world. Well, this is another concept, the Disney concept, and it doesn't make any sense. Sorry, I've been drinking a lot, so it's hard for me to review, but it's another concept of saying Tomorrowland is the heaven or the next world to live in besides the mortal hell earth world or where we live in today. But the brilliant David Nix, who's a bitch in this fucking video, like throughout when he met Frank as a kid at the time earlier on, he's a bitch. He made this machine like, we're not gonna help anybody and all other stuff, but I don't know. It's very high to watch this film. You gotta watch this. For me, talking to you about it, I mean, you gotta to know it all. You gotta know the whole story in this. I mean, from watching this from the movie trailers to watching on DVD, was the thing is I want to see this I want to see this in theater format, but then again, now I really don't care for the level here. Matinee matinee DVD theater level right here. From the trailer, it looked badass, but from the DVD stamp of the whole movie, I'm gonna have to go for DVD rating, and that's what I'm gonna do right now. When some of the movies I've seen ratings or whatnot, seen the trailer, but this was a motion picture. And it says Tomorrow is a blast, and then magical inspires and all. But it was good. But for movie rating, for the picked out theater, well, if I look at this movie and say matinee, which is cheap, the theater, which I'm never going to choose theater because I'm not going to waste my money on theater. I would choose matinee or DVD. Right here it can be if I had money for it, matinee, or just watch it on DVD. This is a rental, by the way, because I rented it from the library. But to me, without that, it can be matinee or rental. It doesn't matter, but I choose rental because I had no money at the time. But right here, out of 5 stars, I give 3. I mean, it was no 4, because I liked how the acting was, George Clooney, but it was still kind of weird with the whole. Because at the very end, they had this moment where, spoilers alert, she has to self-destruct, and I thought they were gonna have a little kiss, which was gonna be kind of weird because he's old as hell. She's a kid. But realizes she fell in love with him, But I'm like, it's a Disney film, and it's a PG film. I said, there's no way in hell that would happen unless she grew up to be an android, grew up older. But later on, I'm not trying to spoil the film, but I think this is a good film for film because I like the whole graphics and everything. And it doesn't really matter. The graphics, I mean, Hugh Laurie, who plays David Nix, is a fucking cunt in this film. And you'll love when he gets his ass kicked in this film. George Clooney, awesome. And the chick who plays Casey, who's Britt Robertson, she does a good job. And Raffey Cassidy plays Fina right there. Oh, wait, I think, do I recommend this film at the very end? Absolutely. I don't really watch a bunch of family films a lot, but this is a new family film I watched. I wanted to see this because I thought this would be pretty good. But that's at the end of the day. This is Simple Review, and this is for Tomorrowland. I recommend it if you're a Disney film collector or whatnot, or just if you want to check out a family film. This is a pretty cool family film. I'm not all about family films, but this is pretty cool. Is it rewatchable? Not really. For me, in my standpoint. I mean, I watched it once. I mean, it's not really favorability, but out of letter grade, I give it a C. Just for average, you know, because there's some movies that I can watch over and over and over. This was okay, but maybe you guys enjoy it. But that's my opinion. But that is Tomorrowland. This is STS with Simple Review, with the new Simple Review Tomorrowland. And I hope you guys see you soon. Peace. I'll see you the next time, because Simple Reviews are back. Peace.